Hello and welcome to the Tinker Cards video gallery. This video today is to make the reverse side of this door sign. The first one I got a separate video for that, just to show you what it ended up being like, and I shall put the link into the details of the video later. So just as a bit of a recap, I had a piece of thick cardboard which I etched with some pigment ink to take the grey off the sides here. So, and the front I just used inks and shimmer acrylic paints, a bit of paste, and it will all be in the blog, and I put a link into how I made it. So for the reverse side, I'm going to go for Do Not Disturb, which I got my letters already cut here, so it gives me an idea how much space I'll take up. This particular piece of white card, it will be exactly the same size as what the sign is going to be. So I've already started here, and I wanted to look a bit busy because it's an office, so I've gone for postal stamps, and I'm also going to do some splatters and whatever, so I'll just go along as it comes up really. Now for the front I'd used the weathered wood stencil, which I'm going to use again. So, and it's a bit like working backwards, because I want the postage stamps to look as if they're sitting on top, so I need to mask that off first before when I'm doing just a little bit of blending with the wood stencil. So I've got to be a little bit more careful here. I've got a brush here. It's going to be a slightly different green because it's a darker one on here, and I'm just going to lightly brush bits in, so, and hopefully it should leave the postage stamp bits free of it. So I'm just hoping it's going to work. I tried it on the other video with the what's it, a dried baby wipe that I tend to use on occasions as well. Didn't work quite as well, I must say. It was a little bit a little bit too thick to get into the finer things, and it did tend to lift the plastic bits up a bit too much. And I did do this, I used that stencil on a mirror with a brush, and it did actually work quite well, because you can just go and follow the grain pattern of the wood really. So I thought I'll just do this here, try and use that again. And I'm going to hold things, hold bits down as well. It's easier to do when you do it with the brush really, because I could secure it with some tape, but I'm not so sure. I'm sometimes a little bit lazy and don't like masking things off too much. I try to avoid it as much as I can, but that's me. So if I just, it's probably not going to be very dark, but I don't want it to be extremely dark. I just want it to really just sit in the background. So let's just see. Sorry to go over the lens for lifting this up. I'm going to keep the other hand in place so I know. So there you go. So you can see a little bit of the wood grain coming through. So I just keep going. And now I'm just going to do this, and I'll go in the other direction. And I think this should actually be enough. So there you go. It's come through quite well. So that's the weathered wood Adploration stencil. I'll just pop that to one side. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go slightly over it again, because it will pick the colour up a bit more and help fade it in at the edge here. I'm going to use the brush for that. rather than going back to the to a blending tool. I find when I want to do more delicate bits, I've got a little bit more control over the amount of ink that I apply with the brush. I mean, my ink pad is a little bit drier anyway. It needs re-inking now. So that's that. So next what I wanted to do is I wanted to give it a little bit of some faint bleached out stamp images. So that's before I remove my stencils. I'm just going to close the ink pad app for a moment. Now what I've done here is I got like a little dish with a kitchen towel that is quite damp, and I got it in a little bowl or plate. You can put that in, and I'm just going to press my stamp in, sort of try and wipe off around the edges a bit, and in the inside. And then I'm just going to put a few, stamp a couple of images, leave it on, and then take it off. Now I did stamp black with that and it didn't really clean it, but it before I just stamped it off, so it just gives quite a nice sort of slightly organic effect really. So you can see here how it's starting to give a bit of a ghosting shadow, which is what I wanted. Just going to do a couple of these and then a couple around the edges. And let's just do another one here. So that can you see this? Let's just see if it's visible on the camera. So you've got one here, so that comes quite faintly out, another one there, then up here and here. So that would be quite nice for just getting that to sort of a bit more, giving it a bit more dimension and texture and stuff. So I'm just thinking, shall I spray it with a little bit of water? No, I think I'll leave it. I'm not going to do that. So next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my masks here, and I'm going to stamp with the darker color. First I was working with River Rock, and now I'm going to use Always Artichoke and try and stamp my frames in, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get it the right way around. Let me just see. It was that way up, so yeah, it should be okay. So it doesn't have to be 100% aligned either, because it's not that type of piece of work. So I'm stamping the one that I want to be in the foreground first, which is this. So fine, I didn't ink it up properly, but that's perfect. So I'm just going to put the mask on, set it this way around. Yep. And then I'm going to stamp it on again, just roughly in. Just pop that mask back on as well. Let's see if that's the right way around. Might not be, might be that way around. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm just going to pop another one in somewhere at the bottom here. Let's just make sure that I've inked it up properly. Yeah, so that's about roughly there. All right. Yeah. So it just have to sit roughly inside the other frame that I had there. So what did I want to do next? I think I'll just pop a little one down here. And another one. Just pop that on. Just bear with me. Somewhere here. Right. So that can go to one side now. And I'll be doing some stenciling next. So I thought what might be quite nice to have some paint splatters going down. Stuff coming down across here where my do not disturb is going to be. So, and I'm going to work for that with the Art Pluration stencils that is called Art Splatters, to get a little bit of hint of DIY in here. So shall I just have them running fully down? Yeah, let's do them a bit like that here. So that should be okay. So I'm just going to quickly do that with the darker color, and I just use my brush. It doesn't have to be very sort of strong really. So I just want to get a little bit of added texture in there. So I could of course use other colors, but I've decided because of where it's going to go to stay with them. It's almost like a monochromatic type of look on shades of green really. What I might do with the splatters, just highlight some bits later with a gel pen or something. Just need to be careful not to... Ooh, I've done that. Okay, well that doesn't matter. I have to find a way of disguising that. Just went over the edge here a little bit, so you need to be careful when you do things like this with a brush. It's a little bit easier to do with the with a baby wipe. You've got slightly more control because it's not quite as wide surface, but that's okay. So we can blend that in, that's not a problem. So I just do something like that. That once I'm finished, you won't notice that. So that's a bit of paint going down here. Shall I put in? No, that let's leave that. So next I was going to stamp some images into my stamps. Let's take these off. So I've got a phone somewhere. That's here. This can go here. Now that should come to disguise it. Yeah, that's quite good. I rather like that. Then let's pop the car in there and the butterfly at the top. Right. Okay. So I need to mask off here again to stamp my car in. Let me get my block. Yeah, I'm just going to stamp that in the darker green colour really. And what I might do is then use the baby wipe to just slightly fill the colour in around it. Let's do that. Yep. That is one. Let's just see and put like a, give it a value of whatever, 49. There we go. Now that can go, and then what have we got next? Can take that off. Shall we do the butterfly next? Yep, let's do that. So that goes in here. Okay. And then let's do that with 49 as well. I'm not quite sure. I had another one out. I can't see it right now. Let's pop that here at the bottom. Let's do this. And just do it that way around. And I'm just going to stamp it over here. Stamp it like that. And then I can take this stamp off. So let's go for the phone next. Let's just see that it's inked up properly. There we go. Let's put that in, and let's just do one here. Yep. And I think I'll do the butterfly again here. So we got all of them. Oh, I'm probably not speaking up loud enough, but here we go. So let's do that. There we go. Now, I'm not going to put any value on any of the others. Right, so we got do not disturb going in here somewhere. Now I wanted to bring in another stencil actually. Let's get to tie it in with the front. Let's just get a little bit of the leaf bliss in. I'm not quite sure where at the moment. So if I do that, yeah, and I put my masks back on. It's not the right way around. It's probably that way around. Yeah. And I need one here. That's that. So I'm just going to do a little bit coming in from the, no, I'm going to do the bird here first, but that was going to be stamped, and let's leave that for a moment. Let's just get some leaves in somewhere else, or maybe not. Let's just see. I'll just get them in here. And I'm going to use the baby wipe for this. And what it does when you stamped and you go over it with ink again, it sort of picks the ink up and actually intensifies the color really. So that same should happen where I've stenciled before, but I'm actually not going right over that at the moment. So it's just like a little bit sort of to add to the background, making it more busy. So I'm not quite sure. No, let's leave that. Let's just get a couple of leaves in here on the side, but I only want the leaves. Let's get it out of the way. So I'm only just doing that. So there we go. Just got a couple of leaves, tying that in. So we're going to have a bird stamped here, which I was going to emboss and try and take, because I've got a green pigment ink, but it's not quite the right green to go here, so I'm going to put some antique gold pearl-ex on it to slightly alter the colour, and I'm just going to hope that this is going to work. So let's just see. So I need to blend around the edges to add more dimension. So for that I need to just put my masks back on where they need to go, here and here. So before I do that, so I'm just adding a little bit more dimension to that by blending the edges in. So that's one. And now I'm doing, just going over this. There you go. So that helps it sort of give more dimension, as I said. Now when I come to do the bird, I don't think I'll do that on the video. So what I'll be doing is I'll stamp it with the, once this all is dried, I'll stamp it with the pigment ink, emboss it with clear embossing powder, and then I'll brush some pearl-ex on it and heat the embossing powder again so that the pearl-ex will set into it. So the idea being that it will add some shimmer, and it will slightly alter the color of the green, because the gold will be coming from a sort of like, will add a bit of yellow, and the green that I got is slightly more bluey, whereas these are all quite almost like yellowy greens that I got in here right at the moment. So that's that. Let's just do that. So you might wonder why I sort of have this masked off here at the edge, especially when I come to blend the edges. It will make the color darker, and it will have to blend when I come to blend the edges, it will have that color sort of like sitting on top. So these bits here will always be lighter, and it will give it a different dimension. That's the idea. Right. So let's pop these to one side. Let's just go around and blend the edges. I'll do that before I do the stamping of the bird. I might, once it's done, I might go around it again and blend it in, but we just have to see. So just do this quickly. Can you see the difference here? So what's the shading comes in, but it's sort of just adding a different type of dimension again. So you can basically, even with your blending around the edges, you can layer quite well and just add different dimension, as long as your basic piece of card that you're working with hasn't been completely soaked with ink to start with. So you need to start pale and go darker, I suppose. That's sort of what I'm hinting at. So you still can see the the frame of the postage things in a couple of areas, so they come sort of slightly through. And I think that's it. So I'm sort of, I don't know, am I running out of things to say? Sort of, there is a shadow from a postage stamp. The letters will go across. What I did is I sort of, on the original piece, which I can probably show you here, if you can see that, I sort of went round it with a grey pro marker and slightly blended that in, and then I just added highlights with a white gel pen. So I shall be doing something very similar to that for the do not disturb. I wanted it to look busy and yeah, as if there was loads going on with the postage, the paint splashes and whatever, but I can't really add anything else until I have the bird on it and I've got my letters on, and then I will see where I'm going to put my highlights for the paint, the running paint splashes as well. So I think I'll leave this for right now. So this just should give you a bit of an idea. And so what is left is literally just to add my letters and stamp and heat emboss the bird. But this needs to dry now, and if I try and do it with a heat tool whilst I'm recording, it's just going to be too noisy, and yeah, it's just going to be too noisy, and it's probably going to take too long. So I don't want to keep too much of your time. So thank you for watching, and I shall be back soon. Have a lovely day, and yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.